Hi, this is part 2 of the bouncing ball lesson. You should have your environment ready, and the next thing that we're going to do is draw the ball. Now here's a sample of what my ball looks like. I did add shading so that it looks kind of three-dimensional, and I have eyes and a mouth, which is required for this project. For this ball, you need to draw the eyes and the mouth right on the same layer with the circle. I'll walk through that with you very quickly, but first remember to reset your styles and your tools. Also be sure that you're on frame 0, and also right here with auto freeze keys, don't have a check mark right there. Now we'll just ignore the fact that I do have a ball already, and I'd go to New Layer, Vector. I would name it Ball, choose Draw Shape, and the Oval tool. I would pick a color, hold Shift and Alt so that I would get a perfect circle. Now my layer happened to be below everything here. I'll just drag this up to the top. I'll zoom in so that I can point out a couple of things. This is very important. Since you are going to draw the eyes and the mouth right here on the same layer as this circle, you need to make sure that you've deselected points every time you start on a new object. For example, right now, my 4 points on this circle are highlighted in red, so I would need to select none. And then I can go ahead and choose the draw shape and another oval and pick some color for the eyes. And again, I'll hold Shift and Alt down. And I can make one eye, click on the transform points so that I can select that object and Control C for copy, Control V for paste, and make the other eye. And for the mouth, you can use an oval as well, but again, you need to deselect everything. So edit, select none, and then draw shape, oval, and the mouth, and I'm not being very careful about what I'm picking. And drawing something right here, then you can shape up this mouth however you want to. Now if you did want to put shading on that the way that I had mine, just go over here and click on Select Shape, click on the circle, and then probably you'll want to get rid of the stroke if you do want shading, so uncheck that. And in Effect, choose Shaded. And then you can play around with these until you get a shading that makes it look like your ball is kind of three-dimensional. So what's a good size? Not too big, not too small. You can see how large mine is in comparison to the whole stage area. Okay, so, use your best judgment. You should pause the video now and assemble your ball and then return and we'll continue. Now, once you have the ball ready, I'd like to call your attention to the total number of frames. You can see here that I've typed in 500. So you can start with 500. You may need to add or remove some by the time you get to the end of your animation, but 240 isn't likely to be enough. So right now, change that number to 500 and then keep an eye on it while you're animating. Okay, so you've got your background and your ball, and we need to set the origin point for the ball. This is extremely important for what we're going to do. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see this really well. Be sure that you click on your ball layer in the Layers palette, and in the Tools, click on the Set Origin icon, and then click and drag around and point it to the center of your ball. Then if you click over here on the Transform Layer icon, you should see that the bounding box around your ball fits squarely, very tightly around it, okay? That's what we need to see. The next thing we need to do is set the ball off stage. So click on the Transform Layer icon and move the ball off stage, approximately where you see that I've put mine. The first part of this is going to be very procedural, okay, and really very simple. And then later on, I'm going to let you wing it on your own and see how you do. It's important to note that in order for this exercise to work, your ball scaling must start out with all ones in the X, Y, and Z up here. If you drew your ball and then you resized it using transform layer, then you're probably not seeing all ones up there. What you'll need to do is click on this reset button here, and then in order to size the ball the way you want it, use transform points. Now to begin, first go to frame 1. You can type 1 in here and hit enter. Up here in the main menu, click on animation, add keyframe. Then drag across to frame 30. Be sure you see it there. Go up to animation, add keyframe. This will ensure that nothing happens in the animation for the first 30 frames. Well, I should say nothing will happen for the first 30 frames for the ball anyway. I would like to go backwards 1 frame to frame 29 and do that again. Animation, add keyframe. And I won't go into detail of explaining about that just right now. So what we're going to do is first set up keyframe intervals of 30 frames. So from 30, we need to go to 60. Be sure you see 60 here. Choose transform layer, click on your ball, and bring it down to whatever surface you want your ball to first bounce on. Yours may be a little further down than mine. Now slide across to frame 90 and move your ball up near the top of your stage and about center, okay, on the top. And then in the timeline, move over to frame 120. Grab the ball and go back down to whatever surface you want your ball to hit down there. And then let's go to frame 150 and then move your ball up here and off stage completely. I'm going to turn off my background for just a moment so that you can see my path. We want to try to get a fairly even W shape just for starting out. We can adjust that by going back to the keyframes that we made, and then I can just make a little adjustment just so that it looks a little bit more even. I'll leave my background off for now so that you can continue to see this more easily on my screen. Go to frame 45. And at 45, you're going to push the ball towards the right. You can hold the shift key down on your keyboard so that you will pull a little straighter across and just pull it a bit. And then the next frame to go to is 75. And this time you're going to pull over to the left. And then the next frame to go to is 105. And pull to the right. And the next frame, 135. And pull to the left. Now this isn't going to look good for quite a while yet. So going back to frame 30, this time we're going to move across, creating keyframes at intervals of 5. In other words, we already have 30 starting out. So we'll go to 35. And what we want to do is make small adjustments so that this path is a nice, pleasing arc. Okay? And so you would just do these real small adjustments of pushing to make that line smoother. So the next interval is at frame 40. And I just don't really need to do a whole lot. Now we already have one here at 45. So go to 50, push in. So you see I'm getting a little bit better arc there. And the next one over then would be 55. It's good to zoom in, as you can see, so I can see that path better. We already have one at 60, and then we'll be coming back up. At 65, then I'm pushing this way, and then to 70. All right, I've zoomed out, and you should be able to complete doing this without sitting here and watching me. So go ahead and go at intervals of 5. You'd go from 75 to 80, 85, 90, 95, and so on, all the way through up to 150. So have that ready. I'm going to pause now, and I'll continue in the next video.